Yo, what's up, family? Shalom. I wanted to talk to you guys about something. What does it mean that God is our Jehovah-Rapha? What does that mean? More properly known, of course, as Yahweh-Rapha, but it means the Lord who heals, family, in Hebrew. Jehovah-Rapha is one of the many different names of God found in the Old Testament. The name Jehovah-Rapha appears also in Exodus 15:26. God says to the people of Israel, if you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commandments and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. The contents of God's revelation of his name Jehovah-Rapha is an incident that took place early on in the wilderness wanderings of the Israelites, family. They had just left Egypt and crossed the Red Sea, and Moses took them into the desert, where for 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding any water, right? Exodus 15:22. The Lord was testing them, and he was testing their faith. And we'll find that he does the same thing to us, family. I know I've come to find that out a lot here recently. The Israelites, though, their test in the desert was soon amplified. They came across a body of water, but to their great, distress, they could not drink from it. They called the water, bitter. Their souls began to turn bitter as well. And they began to grumble and complain to Moses, saying, what are we to drink? And you can read that in Exodus chapter 15, family. I believe it's around verse 24. Moses did exactly what he should have done. He prayed to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. And that's in verse 25. Following God's instructions, Moses threw the wood into the water. And the water miraculously, was fit to drink. So immediately after the Lord healed the waters, he identified himself to them as Jehovah-Rapha. I am the Lord who heals you, Exodus 15:26. He doesn't just heal water, family, and we know this. He heals people. The healing of the waters was just a slight demonstration of God's power to overcome any impurity, contamination or corruption that may be within us. This power was going to work on the behalf of the Israelites, God's chosen people, as the Lord brought them to the promised land, family. Along with giving his name Jehovah-Rapha, God gives the Israelites a promise. I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians. This is a reference to the 10 plagues, family, that God had recently sent upon the Egyptians. Plagues including bulls, the death of livestock, devastation. It was hail, you name it. Like many Old Testament promises to Israel, this one was conditional, family. God's people were required to diligently, without a doubt, listen to the voice of the Lord, their God, our God, and to do which is right in your eyes and give ear to the commandments and keep all his statutes. And they were commanded that in verse 26, Deuteronomy chapter 30. Jehovah-Rapha has the power to heal physically, emotionally, and mentally. And physically, you can see an example of that in 2 Kings 5:10. Emotionally, you can see that in Psalms 34:18. And mentally, you can see that in Daniel 4:34. And also spiritually, family, you can see it in Psalms 103, verses 2-3, or examples. Neither impurity of body nor impurity of soul can withstand the purifying, healing power of our Lord, Jehovah-Rapha. Jesus Christ showed that he was the great physician, right, who heals the sick. In Galilee, Jesus went from town to town, family, healing every disease and every sickness among the people. Matthew chapter 4, check it out. In Judah, large crowds, followed him and were healed with him in Matthew 19. In fact, family, wherever he went, whether it be in villages, towns, or the countryside, they placed the sick in the marketplaces. They begged him to let them touch him, even if it was the edge of his cloak or garment. And all who touched him were healed. And you can read about that in Mark chapter 6. Not only did Jesus heal physically, family, he also healed them spiritually by forgiving them for their sins in Luke 5, verse 20. So in every day, in every way, family, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, proves himself to be Jehovah-Rapha in the flesh. I love you guys. I hope y'all have a blessed weekend. Peace.